Hello there, this is a summary for my students on how to warm up without making too much noise. Um, so what I like to do is to think about breath. However you're standing or sitting, wriggle your toes, um, kind of just see where you feel any tension in the body, recognize that you might have been working before and therefore you need to relax from that. You need to just breathe out. Now, rather than make noise, actually, you can just do breath. So just go. And you breathe. So 2 fingers above your belly button, put your hand there, breathe into your hand and deflate. Let your diaphragm recoil. You just let it go, okay? And you just keep doing that. So keep doing that. And then when you're done with that, then add noise to it. So I propose an S. So breathing in, 2 fingers above belly button. I keep encouraging the deflation, that idea. And then once you've established the bottom of your breath to know what it feels like to be relaxed, then keep your hand there, but this time try to sustain the airflow. And in order to sustain the airflow, if you like, you can set a counter or a timer, and as you know, just set it at, I don't know, 2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever. Or actually, set it at 4 minutes. Sorry, so set it at 4 minutes, and then as it's going down from 4 minutes, just plan where you're going to inhale for 2 seconds. Excuse me, that's the name of the dog. And then you're going to exhale. So what you do is you plan where you're going to inhale and plan where you're going to exhale. Now, what you can do is you can actually think ahead. I'm going to breathe in at this point and then exhale for 10 seconds. I think that's a good thing to aim for. And the airflow should be constant. Just keep doing it on an S. Then you can do it on a V. And then what I like to do, so now you might want to close the window. Actually, maybe you don't need to necessarily, but basically what I like to do now is to think of a W. Is as if you've got a stutter on the letter W, and just choose a note that feels low in your range, and breathe into your 2 fingers above belly button. The W sound with puffy cheeks, and you should actually feel it in your chest quite a lot. So it should feel like a very resonant, deep sound. It should also feel a bit like yawning with your mouth closed. And it's really important that you establish that feeling because it gives you an understanding of the bottom of your voice. And you should have more control because it actually engages your body more when you go into a deeper sound. And then from that point where you think that's kind of my lowish sort of note, then you can go up a fifth. So starting whatever note you've chosen, up a fifth, whatever the note is that you're starting, and then you do an octave. Okay, and then you do, and then you just basically go from the low to the high, and you make sure that the way you go up is the way you come down in terms of sound. And then once you've done that, the whole time always breathing 2 fingers above belly button. Open your mouth to an ooh, 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 that sort of thing, right? And what you might notice is there's a tendency to open more when you go to the top. So you should be covering at least a 2-octave range when you do that siren, it's called. And with that opening, what the place where you want to open more at the top, that's where you should feel it at the bottom. So you want to encourage the depth in the bottom of the voice. And it should be, basically the idea is that you have a constant sound and everything is constant from low to top. And this kind of phonation is great. And then essentially, if you like, in order to work in the ring in your voice, you can start by going low in your voice and then that sort of thing, and then just go up and up and up in the scale. But you always start in the keeping the mouth open, and that actually, by the way, this is all low larynx training. Low larynx is something that sometimes singing teachers refer to as being dangerous because of perceived notions of pushing, but there's no pushing on here, and this is as safe as houses. This is the best way of training low larynx because it's built on relaxation and ease. And effectively, it's my belief that the bottom of your voice in every single type of music should be, you should have a low larynx in the bottom of your voice in every genre of music, is because it provides the grounding. And the low larynx, just so you know what that is, often when you speak like this. So, I'm speaking like this. I'm speaking like this. So this sound is low larynx. This sound is not low larynx, and you can literally put your hand on your trachea. This sound is not low larynx. This sound is low larynx. But you see, the reason why low larynx training is ever, so you just know, that the reason why it's ever problematic is when you push on the throat. But you see, what we're doing is we're transferring the resistance, not from the throat, we're transferring it from here according to a breath flow. And you might like to know that when you work on vibrato, which we're not doing in this video, but if you want to work on vibrato, then you build the vibrato on the breath flow, and the breath flow is built on the low larynx. So that's why eventually everything can be associated with the low larynx, and therefore as you go higher, you can just allow the larynx to move to different places. But your larynx moves position because of association to breath. And this is something I've sort of studied in my own time a lot. We're not telling the larynx to move, we are associating, but allowing the larynx to exist in a position according to your breath. See, that's the fascinating thing is you actually breathe in the low larynx. And by the way, just to clarify, it's actually not specifically just the larynx that's lowering. It's just, that's just the terminology I use, is low larynx in inverted commas, if you like, because it's the trachea is lowering. But also, there's also expansion in the throat, so it's not just a lowering process. And also, the idea of yawning is actually creating space in the pharynx. But the fact is you're feeling depth. So if you like, you could call this depth training rather than a low larynx. Anyway, hope you enjoyed all that, and go practice. Cheers.